Welcome back to The Great Journey,
The Great
Journey.
book club podcast where we delve into the world of Halo one installment at a time. We'll be covering the books, graphic novels, films, and of course the games. And we're going to be talking about them in a very informal and fun way. Hello again. My name is Charlie. If you haven't figured out by now, I keep hosting because I suck at PvP. Welcome my fellow co-hosts again, Tom, James, Will, Robbie, and Jim. Welcome back, everybody.
Hello.
Yo.
One of these times, I don't know, maybe James will host, or maybe Jim. I don't know. Maybe Robbie at some point.
Maybe. I mean,
Yeah, we'll see.
I know. I would just say we will see.
I'm gonna start practicing. I didn't think it need to come to that, but you know, here we are. Last week we closed out the novel Fall of Reach by Eric Nyland. We saw a surprise attack and destruction of the UNSC fleet in the Battle of Reach. The majority of Spartan 2s that were deployed on the surface during the battle, we don't know their current status. Cortana and Chief were able to prevent the Covenant from finding the location of Earth, but ultimately failed to prevent the planet's destruction, and they had to escape into slip space. However, Cortana's vector was not entirely random, and the Pillar of Autumn emerges in the orbit of a massive ring structure. Before we continue on, though, there's a few things I wanted to either correct or some questions that we had from last week. So, first and foremost, we were wondering what happened to Spartan James after his jetpack got destroyed and he floated off into space. Unfortunately, guys, he is most certainly undoubtedly dead.
Yep.
James is dead. So, James, do we need to update the Spartan kill count?
We do.
Okay.
I do not have it currently up, but I think we're down to 27, if I remember correctly.
27. RIP. We talked, guys, about Miridium, or Meridium, however you want to pronounce it. And we were confused on how Halsey suddenly was on this planet and, you know, what happened there. But, guys, it's understandable why we're confused because the events that they were talking about actually happened many years before anything we saw on Reach. So, the adjunct references a battle that took place on Inner Colony Meridium years before the events on Reach. These events will further be explained in Halo Legends episode called The Package. So, I don't think we really have to worry about that. That's because what I'm getting to.
Didn't they say Halsey was captured?
Yep.
Yeah, they did.
So that was
Yes,
years
but-
before Reach happened.
Yes. Right.
Interesting. Okay.
From my understanding, from my research, so it's something we inevitably will cover, but because it didn't include a date in that little few pages that were in the adjunct at the end, it confused us because we thought it was happening right after the Battle of Reach. So whatever. Last question correction. We talked about Spartans and robotic limbs. Yes, the technology exists to replace missing limbs in the Halo universe. We will certainly see prosthetics in future characters. So, yes, Spartans, like Spartan James, can have prosthetic limbs. So,
But James did not get prosthetic limbs. Is that correct?
I guess, yeah, I shouldn't. I was wrong to say because we weren't told if he had one or not. So today we're going to discuss the Halo Reach animated miniseries. Everyone watched, correct?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We'll save our overall thoughts until the end of discussion. I'm very curious on what you guys thought of the whole thing, but we'll break it up into 4 different parts, and then we'll talk about the whole thing after. Okay. So, part 1. Most of this is taken from Halopedia, by the way, the synopsis on Halopedia. Part 1. The film begins with Blue Team visiting the glass remnants of Reach, where they recall their friendship with deceased Spartan Samuel 034. The scene then shifts back to Jacob Keyes and Catherine Halsey traveling through subspace to Eridanus 2 to search for candidates viable for a new super soldier program known as Spartan 2. They soon find one of the candidates, John, the future Master Chief. John is playing King of the Hill, dominating several other boys. Halsey approaches John and shows him a coin, telling him he can keep it if he correctly guesses which side it will land on, which he does. John is subsequently kidnapped by ONI operatives and replaced with the Flash clone. The process is repeated with all the other candidates. We see Kelly 087, Frederick 104, and Linda 058. They try to wake the unresponsive Flash clones of their children. Halsey's narration expresses regret that she couldn't have just used the Flash clones, but they could not stay alive long enough. Halsey debriefs the children and explains that they have begun their new lives as soldiers in the UNSC. Fast forward, John has nightmares about his mother before being rudely woken by an instructor. Multiple instructors go about waking all the cadets. One rudely wakes up George 052, pronouncing his name Jorge. George tries to tell the instructor his name is pronounced George. The instructor hits him with a stun device for backtalking. Their trainer, Franklin Mendez, leads them in physical exercises. One day he tells them it is time to do training exercise called Ring the Bell. John asks what the prize is for the winning. Mendez says that the losing team will go without dinner. John races ahead to the bell, not stopping to help his teammates, Sam, Kelly, and Fred, much to their anger. Mendez explains that although John reached the bell first, his team came in last, and so they will not eat. In the mess hall, John apologizes to his teammates and offers some crackers, which he stole several days before, which cements their bonds as friends. So we'll discuss right now. A lot of this stuff is obviously things we've already seen in the book. I would say that most of this stuff is pretty faithful to the book so far.
Yeah, it is. I would say
Most of it. Go ahead, Jim. Sorry.
just a comment on the scene where we meet John for the first time as a kid, and they show the King of the Hill, and he just absolutely they like slow-mo him Sparta kicking, like just paralyzing other children.
Well, he
And then-
headbutts the last dude. I'm like,
Yeah, that's right. And then he smashes just completely headbutts this other kid.
yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Like,
don't
It's
care how.
supposed to be this kind of like fun scene of like, oh haha, he's just like a kid that's
Oh yeah,
motivated and strong, but no, he's just like a sociopath.
yeah, I agree. I was like, that's a little strong. And then the intro obviously is not the same intro we get, right?
Right.
So
Yeah.
we'll get to it as well in terms of like how much does this short film cover the book. But I think that was a little bit interesting take on starting it off that way. But yeah, for the most part, it's pretty accurate, right? Almost even the dialogue. Go ahead, Dan.
Oh, sorry. The one thing that did bother me was the coin flip thing,
Yeah.
right? Because to me, like they did the one coin flip in the
Yeah.
book, and that was like luck. Like John has got luck, right? And it kind of it also tied into like the 50%, like
Yeah.
targeting the 300 kids and then getting down to 150, right? She targeted the ones that were lucky, or she picked the ones that were lucky, or it absolved her of that choice. But here they kind of, I don't know, it didn't really make any sense to me in the broader context of like selecting the rest of the kids, because she made him flip the coin like 5 times or something. And he got it right every single time, which is ridiculous. I mean, even like a super smart, like perceptive kid, you can't even do that like once. I don't know. That part bothered me.
Yeah, kind of just makes him seem like he's psychic.
Yeah, they make it seem like he's super special in terms of like that ability. And I agree. I was like, yeah, that one. I don't know why they took that approach to it, because again, in the book, luck is kind of like this common theme, and they kind of just get rid of it, right? They don't even say he's lucky, actually.
I need to take the Master Chief, go play some roulette or something to the casino.
Yep.
I'm gonna bring up something that I think Robbie touched on when we first talked about this. Is um, he we were curious. We were talking about if Chief John at this point was just able to see the coin land. You know, he was just I don't know, his reactions were enough that he could, you know, see the coin land. And we were talking about how that could possibly be how he won the coin. In the movie here, he definitely, I think he mentioned something like he could see how the coin was landing. That's why he got it every time. And um, yeah, Halsey flipped it like multiple times. So, I guess what I'm trying to say is in the movie, we're to think that John is, you know, hence heightened senses. He can see this flipping coin. But I like The Great Journeys.
The
The
great
great journey.
Journey.
I like our take on it, where the one flip made it like signified that much more that it was really just a 50-50 whether or not he would become the savior of humanity, future savior of humanity, or he would just be John, the kid who kicks kids off the king of the hill, you know?
just a
Basically,
fucking jerk.
so yeah.
Meathead.
No, I agree.
Yeah. So
Because, like, also in the book, they don't really highlight it too much in the movie, if at all. Like, in the book, they give you way more context into the other Spartans in terms of, like, their abilities of, like, Kelly's faster, you know, etc. Like, they don't really talk about how John just isn't the best Spartan and best human specimen in the world, right? Like the movie doesn't really do that part of the book justice, in my opinion.
Well, in the book, don't they also kind of say explicitly that he was just kind of the best all rounder? He wasn't necessarily always the fastest or the strongest or the smartest or whatever.
But I mean that's saying
Yeah.
like any of the Spartans are the best all rounder, right? Like I think the
But
two,
he's the all roundiest.
yeah, the two things that I think John the book really highlighted on, and the key one was his bravery, right? He was the bravest Spartan of them all. And so because of that, he was able to make a lot of decisions and not show the fear, and that's why I think the other Spartans looked up to him as a leader. So that was number one, and then I think there was another attribute to him.
I think they also like bring up like he's just the
Lucky?
luckiest one,
Yeah,
which we were just talking about. Yeah.
I was thinking that too. I just didn't want to say it because it felt wrong. But because like really, you're special because you're lucky. But again, part of that theme that just doesn't translate into the movie.
Also on Halsey, I I had a hard time in the movie, a much harder time in the movie thinking of her as anything but evil. In the books, it was easier to like take her perspective or whatever, but in the movies, it just felt like so wrong,
Yeah,
especially like just coming from the perspective of, hey, these are insurgents, it's not an existential threat to humanity. But the point that Charlie
sorry.
brought
Go
up,
ahead.
oh, sorry. I was going to say, if the point that Charlie brought up earlier about the adjuncts, that she was captured earlier before Reach. I don't know. I'm confused. I'm still confused about that timeline.
I meant before the Battle of Reach.
Before the
So
battle.
in
Okay,
between,
never mind.
yeah, I think it takes place in between, you know, the Spartan program and then the Battle of Reach. So
Okay,
that's
so she's still
still
doing it.
like 20 something years. So
Okay, but she's still creating the Spartans and all this stuff just for like insurgents.
yeah,
Yeah.
because she was captured by the Covenant. I don't know if that made it clear.
So I think you made a great point, Tom, in that the books they go through great pains throughout the book to make it seem like Halsey's really torn about what she did. But in the movie, they're just like showing all these dead kids, and she was just like, "Of course, we're just expecting some of them to wash out of the program, and accidents happen." And they're showing like images of these dead kids, like it's not a big deal to her.
Yeah,
That's a pretty big difference.
Oh,
Kids dying in their parents' arms, like the Flash clones dying in their parents' arms. Like,
Yeah, the two
oh
these
well,
clones
yeah,
just kind of
that.
like turning into liquid goo in front of their
Dude,
parents.
it's fucked up on so many levels.
Yeah, it's not bad enough that they steal their kid and then they like traumatize these poor people by having all these clones just die of cancer after 6 months.
Yeah. Yeah, but in the movie, during augmentation, when the kids finally die, uh, who's the AI at that time?
Deja.
Deja. Right? Deja was more on the clear cut and dry of it's for the better good. Basically, don't worry about it. Like, this is part of the plan. And Halsey was like, because did Deja call him specimen? What did subjects, I think, of the subjects, 26 died. And I think Halsey was like children. Like, she flat out said kids, right? So there's a little glimpse there of what we get from the book in terms of how she feels about doing the program. But yeah, it's definitely not as much context in terms of like the inner thought that we get from obviously the book.
Yeah, that are in the books also. They don't really go into detail of how some of the kids die, right? They just said like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
so many died at this point, so many of the other ones died at this point, and then in the movie they actually show like, when they inject them with, or when they do the body mods, and one's just like having a seizure right there.
Yeah.
So it's a little more kind of hits. It's a little more emotional, obviously, than how it's kind of flatly presented in the books.
Yeah, you get definitely a visual aspect to it. I think because during that period they did the voiceover of the message to Halsey, kind of outlining like the potential side effects and kind of symptoms these augmentations will do. And then yeah, they definitely give you a visual material to go with it. In the
Yeah,
movie.
we're gonna touch on that shortly as well.
Oh yeah, I guess
so-
we're kind of going through the whole movie
We're
instead
kind of
of
just going home since you read the
your
book. Yeah.
part one.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I mean, I guess it's okay to talk about it openly like this, but I do have a little synopsis from each part of this, so when we get to it, we can talk about it. So
Cool.
They mentioned in the movie that Halsey did not go pick up every single kid, and I thought in the book she does go with Keys and pick up every kid, right?
it's definitely insinuated. I think we get that insinuation because Key said something to the effect of like, "I remember every
Yeah, I was
Spartan
thinking the same thing.
child that I picked up or
Yep.
we looked at." So, one thing I wanted to bring up here, little cool detail. We get a new Spartan cadet's name. His name was George. They brought him up
Jorge.
specifically, Jorge, yeah, in this scene. So that's a character we did not see in the book, but it's a character we might see in the future. So
I thought this movie was like unintentionally funny at a few points.
in what way? Any specific points?
Well, you got the chief like literally headbutting this kid off this hill. It's like, where the fuck are the parents?
His
And then
parents
you
have been
got this,
really shitty.
Halsey
a good point.
sees that. It's like, let's make this psycho kid, world Earth savior. And then you
Also,
got Jorge. He's like, my name's George or whatever the fuck, and the dude just tased him. Get back on your feet, Jorge.
Yeah, there's a lot
Like,
of
well,
horrible
Jesus.
people.
definitely.
Yeah.
And I don't know, but if I ever play King of the Hill and a kid headbutts me, I'm probably never playing with them again. And clearly, John has done this multiple times because he tells Halsey, "My parents say I'm too mean or I'm too rough with the kids."
Yeah, it's like, no, you
This
need
kid
therapy,
is
my dude.
with children to hang out with like every day. Also, what is he like at home? You know he doesn't sit still and act well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
his parents probably wanted him to be kidnapped.
Yeah, I really want to know John's
Oh,
upbringing.
God.
Yeah.
Like, what kind of parents were they? Did they
Kid's
go
a
to
monster.
church? What were their backgrounds and jobs? Does John live in a trailer park home? Because like
I think
I
it's
get
got to be. It's
part
got
of
to be
that
like trailer
feeling.
park home. Yes.
That's actually the
John
vibe I'm
is
getting. Yes.
violent trash. Because kids with good homes and good upbringings don't headbutt other children.
Well, at least they're not headbutting people.
And he really needs the money.
Yeah.
Kids are like, hey, he can't take all of us at once, and they still go up at him
Yeah.
one at a time. It's like, all right.
Horrible coordination. Horrible teamwork. Okay, yeah, I'll hold the rest of my comments of the movie comparison as we go
We'll
through it.
move on. We'll keep moving on. Next part here. 2 years later, Chief Petty Officer Mendez and the cadets are aboard the Albatross dropship. Mendez tells them that they will be dropped off in different areas of the Reach Military Wilderness Training Preserve. Their objective is to find each other and then find another Albatross dropship to extract. Each cadet will receive a small piece of the map needed to find the dropship. The last cadet on the dropship will be left behind and forced to walk back. John is deployed first and quickly unites with the rest of his team, using a river they had spotted from the dropship as a rallying point. Sam carves Blue Team's insignia on a tree as a memento. Soon, all the cadets converge and they determine the location of the dropship. When they reach it, however, they see 2 UNSC soldiers waiting near it. They're not in uniform, so the Spartans identify them as hostiles, lure them into a trap, and knock them out with rocks. All the cadets return to the dropship. John is debriefed by Mendez and Halsey. He expects to be punished for stealing the ship, but refusing to leave anyone behind, they instead promote him to squad leader. 6 years later, the Spartans undergo their augmentations. While observing the operations, Halsey receives a message from Admiral Eucyrus Jerome, expressing his reservations about testing the procedures on apes due to the high fatality rate, subtly implying that he's aware that she intends to use them on humans. At the same moment, a female Spartan dies from the augmentations, with several of her orifices bleeding. Overall, during the augmentation process, 27 of Spartans, or 36% of the candidates, die. We are then introduced to the perspective of Sam. After recovery, the surviving Spartans attend a funeral service for their fallen comrades aboard the UNSC Atlas. Ceremony, John notices several Spartans being wheeled off on wheelchairs. He asks Mendez what will happen to them. Mendez says they will be taken care of and be put to work in other less physical duties. He explains that a leader like John must be willing to send soldiers to their deaths. After that conversation, Sam invites John to visit the shooting range with them. John declines and heads to the gym. While working out in the gym, John engages in a brawl with several ODSTs, beating them and severely injuring them. So, we'll discuss now.
So really
Classic
quick,
John, just beating the
Classic.
shit out of
Yeah.
everybody.
literally,
Right.
just because it was at the end of the last part. When they go through the obstacle course and John wins, the next day, right? John actually goes up. In the book, did John immediately go up to Kelly and Fred and say, I'm sorry, and it won't happen again, right? There's a little bit of back and forth before that realization, I feel like. And in this one, he just like, I'm sorry. Don't worry. It won't happen again. We're friends now. And then that was just a little
Here's some
weird.
crackers.
Yeah, here's some crackers that I stole.
Here's some stale ass crackers.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was different than the book, definitely.
Yeah. But yeah, these scenes, it was kind of on point. Again, you lose some context in terms of like, why is Kelly the one calling? And then, why is Fred on the ground? Like you lose. Do you even know? I guess you do. Do they announce who Kelly and Fred are yet in the movie? Like, do they have names from the obstacle course or?
Just Sam was the only girl, right?
Sam's a guy. Kelly was a
Oh.
girl.
Kelly.
Yeah.
I think they
I don't
mentioned
remember if
like Fred, but
Oh,
I think that was it.
I think they said hello to, they basically introduced themselves to each other
okay.
in the movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
Also, in the book, I pictured the wilderness as just a normal forest setting, not in a snow setting. And how are these kids not freezing to death in their little, like they have no layers? Like that was a little confusing to me too.
Yeah, I thought
And
the
they
same.
just found blueberries too, just out of nowhere in the
Yeah.
snow, and like what? I do think a lot of
I
context was mixed for the sake of just time for this, and they left out like how they John's like for that whole wolf thing, like how there's always a twist, and but instead they just like beat the shit out of
Yeah.
these guys with rocks.
Yep.
There's the twist. Classic John,
classic
just
John,
meathead
classic John.
beating the hell out of everybody.
Yeah. And then
Which
it
I
gets
guess
into go ahead. Go ahead.
okay, I was gonna say I guess it kind of makes sense though. We're joking that like it's like crazy that he's just his first response is to literally just punch everybody's face in, but I guess they're really actually looking for people who would be okay with killing because like we talked about, right? It's not they're not doing this to fight the Covenant, they're doing this to
Yep.
stop like insurrectionists. So you kind of need somebody who is just like immediately cool with really harming and maiming another human. So I guess why not get Psycho Trailer Park Trash Kid to do that?
So, getting into the augmentation side of things, I think it's in the movie they kind of give some visuals obviously when we get into it and they're doing voiceover. And it said Samuel 034, but I have a feeling like the actual headshot that they show is John 117. The neck that they gave this diagram makes me feel like he has tumors growing out of the side of his neck. Like that's how thick of a neck they gave him. I just want to call that out. I thought that was weird.
They would have been like 13 or something at the time. I forget what the book
Six.
said.
They 16.
I think they're like 14 or 15, right? When they do the body
No,
mods.
Well, they
we were talking
say
about
in
augmentation. Yeah.
yeah. They in the movie they call it out that 6 years later, so they'd be 12.
Oh, really?
But
Wow.
in the
Yeah.
book, I feel like they were closer to 14. Maybe they were 14 for their first mission. Was there any
Oh, that's what it
time
is. Yeah,
delay?
they're like 14 or 15 for that first like special ops mission.
It's kind of weird that they would do the body mod slash augmentation at 12. I guess it gives them more time to develop into it. Like you're still growing at that age. I don't know.
They make it seem like it's a pretty not like a fast recovery, but they make it seem like it's not years later though. Like
Yeah,
they
I
make it
think it's
seem like
like
it's
six
maybe a
months or
couple
so.
of months. Yeah.
They kind of call it out in the movie of like, I guess that's weird time to like when John goes to the gym. I think there's a um, voiceover in terms of like we aren't all standing right, like we're falling over and like we're still getting used to our new skin, blah 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 blah. But
Yeah,
like
right.
I got I should rewatch it because they make a comment of like, oh, 6 months later, like that's when those comments were happening. But John goes to the gym the same day that they launched the deceased out into space, which I would hope that they didn't hold these bodies for 6 months to
Yeah.
then I don't know. So maybe my time's wrong in terms of what they were showing and saying, but
In the book, and I think in the movie too, they were still when they were doing that ceremony. I thought that they were still kind of like bandaged up, and they were
Yeah, they're right. They were still kind of recovering from everything.
yeah, it was recovering.
yeah, in the movie they made it
See, I
seem
got it pulled up here. I'm scrubbing through it.
The movie might have like just immediately sent him to the gym, but obviously in the book there's a time lapse.
Yeah. That gym I think was my second favorite scene in the movie though, where it's like again, him just smashing somebody's face in for no reason. And then the
Yeah.
people around him like applauding him for it. Halsey's like just super stoked on it. She's so excited. She's like, oh my god.
That is very true.
And what's the Velasquez, the drill sergeant?
Mendez.
Mendez is like,
Marcus.
what the hell is he doing? I'm sorry, I couldn't remember his name. He's like questioning, like, oh my god, what the hell is he doing? Like any normal person. And Halsey's just like, he's doing what he trained him to do, just kill everybody in front of him. He's not even breaking a sweat. This is so sweet. Wow, this is great. Just like watching it on this video monitor. Like, okay.
Evil Halsey.
She's super, yeah, right. Evil scientist Halsey, just like super proud of her Frankenstein creation. Yes. Kill everything.
I do want to say ODSTs just seem to always get the shit beat out of them. Like,
right.
That's their like entire reason for
Right.
being in the universe, as
Just
far as we
food
know
for the
right
meat
now.
grinder. Yeah.
Is to just be put up against Chief to get their asses absolutely whooped. So
And frankly die as well, apparently.
Yeah, right.
Which is funny because the ODST prior to the Spartans were the elite force.
I guess that makes sense of why there's maybe some animosity there then, if the ODST were kind of like hot shit special forces dudes, and then these Spartan kids kind of come in. They might feel kind of threatened by that.
Yeah. Also, who sent the ODST in to mess with John? Did Halsey just go to this group and be like, go in there?
No. John removed the pin from the weight rack.
Yeah, that's right.
And
That's right.
yeah, when he was working out, the thing slipped, and then that's how they got pissed at him. That was the same
why?
exact way in the book. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, that was kind of unclear to me. I wondered why they did like a weird close up of him pulling that pin out, but that was even before the ODST guys walked in.
Yeah, because he was working out. He moved it
Yeah.
to go work out, and then they hopped in the rack before he
Uh,
remembered to put it back. And so they thought that he messed with them.
he was like screwing with him. Oh, I thought it was just like a fragile ego thing because he dropped the weights immediately, and they were like, "Hey, this kid can't be stronger than us." So we gotta kick his ass.
It looked really weird, like a bunch of geek ass dudes just dropping the weight.
Also,
Right.
he's also 12, and these ODSTs, I'm pretty sure, are grown.
Yeah, they're full grown men,
adults, right? So like, that's also very weird to just grab this 12-year-old child and try to beat the shit out of them.
Yeah.
Unless you truly
Socially, the
know
year
that.
2550, 2500 is pretty strange. Everybody's pretty pissed off.
Yeah.
All the time. No, there's no rules anymore.
Nope.
Just beating up kids.
I will say in the movie, John didn't have as much restraint like he did also in the book. Like, he was about to just whack and kill this dude with a bench bar. Where I don't, like, didn't John pull himself back after they were neutralized? That was always John's thing. But like in the movie, yeah, like you said, Jim, John's just here to fuck shit up and kill people.
Yeah, I totally glazed over the context of the whole pin thing. Is that John saw it in slow motion, and he's like, "Well, okay, that's weird. Like, what? Like, just trying to realize all the effects of what's happened." And
That's
you know, he's got the super strength. You know,
and he's
things
12,
are
so
going slowly, and he's thinking faster. And then yeah, they also don't show why the ODST guys jump in. They just like get pissed off and jump in. It's like, no, because he didn't put the pin back in.
Yeah.
Like, a little context that could have been missed, which would take an extra like 10 seconds.
Last thing I want to add before we move on is going back to the augmentations where Chief was distraught about his fellow Spartans dying, and he was like to Mendez, like, what am I supposed to do here? I think in the movie they kind of they played that down in the way that like kids prior to the augmentations were still dying. They showed some kids like during training were dying.
Yeah, totally, yeah. Dropping dead.
Yeah, that's what I meant. That Halsey just seems like she does not give a fuck. She's like, we are expecting washouts and accidents, and Ever the fuck, you know?
That takes away from that one scene, both in the movie and the book, where John was like suddenly he lost somebody. That's where it kind of like really hits him. So
That's
Yeah.
true.
I don't know why they need to put in the kids died during training, because it didn't happen in the book, and B, like I said, it kind of it messes that whole thing up. So
It's also bizarre because these kids have like this super unique DNA. The government's spending a ton of money to train these super soldiers. You'd think you'd want to be kind of careful with them. Meanwhile, you're training them, you know? It's not like you can go and replace them, you
Well,
know?
yeah, they can. They just go steal another kid. Easy peasy.
Go to the trailer park.
Yeah, right.
I
Go
mean,
back. Yeah, right.
you're gonna be 6 years behind in training, though. I guess depends on how.
dangle a
Because
quarter in front of them.
yeah, right.
They'll come.
They'll come.
Greedy poor children do anything for a quarter.
John, Chief John, and all these other guys. This is Spartan 2 program, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So then this is like the second class then. So they've already done this once, right? If they're Spartan 2,
We
isn't that
technically
the
don't
implication?
know anything about Spartan 1.
Okay. I know we don't. I know we don't know anything. I'm just saying in terms of like
But yes.
they didn't just call them Spartan 2 because they were not the second like try at this. So clearly Halsey's
Right.
just like at a minimum put another 30 kids in the ground just even before all this.
Yeah.
So they're
If she was involved with it.
yeah, if she was involved, whoever was involved with it, but
That's interesting,
yeah.
right?
So
Like,
clearly they have no problem just like keep just hitting the reset button on this whole program. Oh, all 75 died. Okay, let's just go scrape up some more. Try again.
It's a big wide universe.
yeah, even though they don't.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. I want to know, how many, if it was children, again, Spartan 1, what happened in Spartan 1, how many actually perished? To then get funding to fund 75 children to potentially perish as well. So, like, I want to go into these funding meetings and see how Dr.
Yeah.
Halsey frames everything in terms
It's
of.
a hell of a PowerPoint. You're gonna have to make a hell of a PowerPoint. A lot of star wipes.
I think the key thing, I don't really know a lot about Spartan 1, but I think the key thing with Spartan 2 was the idea of the augmentation process.
Oh,
And
so
and
they're
then
the only okay.
yeah,
Definitely.
Charlie or Will, do you have any high level contacts in terms of Spartan 1?
I don't know anything about the Spartan ones.
All right.
I know we.
I think it was a failure, I think.
Yeah, I think
So she did she just murdered another 60 kids before this then.
I know we do meet a Spartan 1 at some point.
Oh, we do. Okay.
I know that.
Oh, damn.
Cool.
So,
Oh, yeah.
we good to move on?
Yep.
Hold on, real quick. I'll briefly gloss on it. Spartan 1s aren't talked about because it had some success, but with the participants, but it was the program got shut down. They weren't called Spartans until Dr. Halsey called the program Spartan 2 to honor the Orion program, which was Spartan 1. And then, so that's why they're called Spartan 1s. And apparently, Sergeant Johnson is a Spartan 1 soldier.
Oh,
So,
okay.
Spoiler.
there you go.
I'm gonna have to edit
Oh,
that out.
shoot.
Oh, damn. Yeah.
Beep. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm really sorry. I didn't know that was okay. You told me you didn't know anything.
I just said we're gonna meet one. I knew
Oh,
that.
I apologize. Okay, yeah, blot that out. Doesn't matter. Control, delete that whole part.
Did it say what the outcome of Spartan 1 program or Orion?
Not a brief little paragraph I read, but yeah, the Orion program got shut down. I probably due to funding or something. But I think that's the idea behind Spartan 2 is terms of like they were using adults and kind of was just like working with them on Spartan 1, and so they grabbed children to try to augment them to try to make them super soldiers instead of just like well trained soldiers, I think is the difference there. But I again, I don't have that. That's speculation.
We can do a correction, obviously. Do a little bit
Yeah,
of research, get back to it. So, all right, we're gonna move on. Next part 3. John, Sam, Kelly, Fred, and Linda are sent on a mission to kidnap Robert Watts, a leader of the insurrection in the Eridanus system, whose hideout is located in an asteroid belt. They infiltrate the base by stowing away on a freighter, the Layden, which is delivering supplies to the hideout. Sam finds out there's a supply crate filled with cigars, steaks, and chocolates, correctly deducing that the crate of luxury items is for Robert Watts, and they track it. The Spartans fight their way to Robert Watts's office and force him into a crate before escaping. During the fight, John knocks Sam out of an insurrectionist field of fire, taking the bullet himself. Kelly is able to seal the wound with biofoam. We now shift to Kelly's perspective. After completing their mission, the Spartans are summoned aboard the UNSC Pioneer. There they are greeted by Vice Admiral Stanforth, who debriefs them on a new alien threat called the Covenant. They play a received transmission from the Covenant leader, a silhouette of a prophet, which states that humanity is an affront to the gods and they will be the tool for humanity's destruction. Meanwhile, Halsey advances her program to fit the Spartans in their new armor and fulfill the Project Mjolnir. However, their arrival at Shai Seti 4 is compromised when Covenant vessel arrives and begins to attack. Despite launching rockets and landing MAC gun shots at the Covenant cruiser, Captain Wallace and the crew on board UNSC Commonwealth are outclassed. They are able to fend off the attacking ship by sacrificing their own ships and detonating a nuke. Halsey and the Spartans are able to proceed with their mission while the Commonwealth awaits the Covenant's return. We will discuss.
I would just like to say that the kind of special ops first mission that they do would make a really cool game. I feel like if they had like a John,
Like a Chief Origin story game or something,
right? Like a Rainbow Six, like whatever Master Chief prequel game would be pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Because the way they did this in the movie, it made it look really cool. I love their suits and everything that they had, and
yeah.
the whole sequence is, I think, probably one of the better parts of the whole movie.
I will also add quickly to that point. I really liked the space battle scenes. They did that really well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So
On the sequence of the getting the colonel guy, when they go find him, he's just like, "I'm not getting in that box." They just punch him and throw him in the box. That was great.
to add to that, he was about to shoot himself in the head. He was like,
Yeah, right.
I'm not going alive, and he was about to kill himself.
Yep. And they shot it out.
That was different. Yeah, that was different than the book.
I'm not getting in that box.
Oh.
Wow. Yeah. That gave me a good laugh.
And so they go to Harvest, right? Is that in the book as well? That this group goes to Harvest? I don't remember, but I don't.
Where are we getting Harvest? Where are you talking about Harvest?
That's where they fight the first Covenant ship, right?
No.
They do. So I'm still scrumming through it. They do show they like cut away to that happening, but John isn't there.
It's
they cut away
right
after. Yeah, immediately after they capture the insurrectionist colonel. They cut to them in like a briefing about the first Covenant sighting, and then in that scene they cut away to what actually happened when the Covenant came to Harvest and glassed it. But John and everybody else isn't there. It's like a cutaway for context.
Yeah, John's not there, but the rest of the Spartans are, I guess.
No, there's no Spartans there.
Yeah, because the Admiral is talking to Vice Admiral Stanforth is in the auditorium with Halsey, which I don't know why the hell she's part of this conversation, but Halsey and Keyes, and they're showing the Covenant ship and Harvest and said this unknown spaceship fought.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, they're
humanity.
explaining all that to the Spartans. Yeah,
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
explaining all that to
So
the
like
Spartans.
that part happened, but I don't. Yeah, I don't remember. Sorry, I thought they went to Harvest because in the, I think Dr. Halsey is talking to Deja in terms of they get a reading a while ago about the outline of the Covenant ship, not knowing what it was, and she asked Deja, "Hey, get me times to Harvest," and she can't pick up anything. And then I think Halsey was like, "Okay, let's go to Harvest or something." So I made
Oh, okay.
okay.
Yeah, you are most certainly wrong about what you remember.
What?
It-
I'm fine.
the
I'll
movie,
find a minute.
Damn, dude, that was an
Go ahead.
elaborate. That was an elaborate ass story.
he's making this whole thing up in his head. No, I thought the movie was pretty spot on with the book, where the first time both the reader and therefore the Spartans learn about the Covenant is a debriefing by Stanforth, where we see what happened to Harvest. So Harvest at that point is completely annihilated. It is glassed. It's gone.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay,
Okay. Right
and it's because of that
after
that we've run into the Covenant.
minute 32 in the movie, right after John Jim scene is done, it cuts to Halsey talking to Deja. Apologies, Doctor, but we have transmission from Harvest. It's fragmented, incomplete, and it stopped repeating. She's like, "Show me what you have," and it's the outline of a Covenant ship. Again, very fuzzy. And she goes, "What is it, Deja?" Or like, "Give me a feed to Harvest," and like a comm feed, a news, anything. And Deja's like, "It might be interference in slipstream relay. It's a 12-hour delay, but I'm not picking up anything." And she goes, "I'm telling schedule. I want these kids combat ready," and she was contacting Keys at that moment.
Right, but
So
not to send the Spartans to Harvest.
okay, maybe
Harvest is
that was
already
my
toast at that
context.
point.
Well,
Yeah,
they
Harvest
don't
is
know
already
that.
toast.
She doesn't know that, but she knows
Right,
that a
right.
potential
But the
attack
fact that the
happened.
signals, yeah, but the fact that the
Okay.
signals all fucked up.
Okay. Yeah, so that was my misunderstanding. I thought she was pushing to go Harvest. I didn't think they did in the book. I just want to make sure that that didn't happen in the movie. Clearly didn't. But yeah, okay. Because I guess my comments in terms of the space battle, um, like I agree. I think that was really well done. Um, and it's kind of interesting to see the size difference in terms of the Covenant ship versus what ship are they on right now? The Iroquois?
No, this was
No, they're on some other seasonal ship.
Okay. Autumn?
Not autumn.
I don't know.
spring,
Yeah, it's like
winter. No, they were
winter
under
something.
May shower?
the command of
Yeah. Oh no,
Commonwealth.
they're on the
Yeah.
Commonwealth, the UNSC
Good stuff.
Commonwealth,
Yep.
So
and they're going to get their Mjolnir armor.
I did see in some comments about the movie that the ship that we see in the movie is not what was depicted in the book.
Ah.
That the one that was depicted in the book was supposed to be a lot smaller. So, but I don't really care about that. It's I liked the battle and everything that we saw in the movie.
Yeah.
Anyways,
I mean, it looks very small compared to the Covenant ship, anyways. To
Yeah, it
where
does.
if it was
Yeah.
smaller, yes, that would be even more impressive. But yeah, I don't think it takes away from that battle. They don't. Yeah, we haven't got to that part yet, so never mind.
Okay. I want to add quickly when they were capturing Watts, Sam in the movie dives and takes a bullet for Chief.
Mm-hmm.
Or no, I'm sorry, it's the other way around. Chief dives and takes a bullet for Sam, and Chief gets injured. In the book, they don't mention him diving for Sam. He just takes a bullet and gets. I'm talking Chief. Takes a bullet and gets injured.
Yeah, he just gets
So
shot. Yeah.
in the movie, they're definitely setting it up for, like without Chief, Sam wouldn't be alive, or without Chief, Sam wouldn't be alive, sort of situation. And I wonder what's might happen because of that idea. So that was interesting how they changed that between the two. So, all right, in the sake of time, we're going to keep moving on. A few paragraphs here. Last part here. Spartans are introduced to the new armor, and John's the first to try it out. Along with the Spartans' physical augmentations, the suits will increase their strength and speeds. We have a short montage of the Spartans testing their suits, but they are interrupted when the Commonwealth reports the Covenant have returned. John volunteers himself and Blue Team to take on the enemy, and Halsey, with no other options, agrees. Blue Team flies out to meet the cruiser, and they form a plan to infiltrate the ship and detonate a nuke from the inside. The team launches from the Pelican and flies through space using their new suits. Realizing the enemy shields drop when they fire, they time their landing, and John, Kelly, and Sam rendezvous inside. They dispatch a grunt and take its weapon for study. Further on, they are stopped by an elite, and a tough battle ensues. Protecting Chief, Sam takes a shot and is wounded. Just as Elite is about to slice Sam, the Chief kills a creature with his pistol. Blue Team finds the other Spartans, and they battle their way to the ship's reactor core. They plant the bomb, but before they leave, Sam announces he will stay behind, and his suit is damaged and won't survive the vacuum of space. Kelly protests, but the decision is made. The Spartans escape the ship, and Sam valiantly fights off attacking elites and jackals. The Spartans learn that the suits will not make them invulnerable, and that they are not immortal. In the closing scene, John and Blue Team admire the carved tree on the surface of Reach, the same that Sam had carved many years earlier. The planet's surface is charred and destroyed. Blue Team reflects and admits that Sam's sacrifice showed that the Covenant can be destroyed, and that Sam showed them the way. Chief remarks that he had Sam to trust him, that we will get him back safe if they follow him. The movie ends as he asks Blue Team if they are willing to do the same.
Yep.
During Watts, Chief saves Sam, and during the elite firefight, Sam saves Chief, right? Yeah.
Yes. But yes, in the book, it's not clear that John got hit by protecting anyone. It was just during battle he was injured.
Right.
I like. Yeah, the movie definitely has some humor in it. Like the whole montage of them trying their suit out is just hysterical.
It is pretty funny.
You just have people jumping and
busting walls,
and playing with a sniper rifle,
shooting at wall. Like it was just this whole and sprinting. It was just
treated like Eye of the Tiger.
Yeah.
100%.
That, and then the cutaway of the first poor soldier they stuffed into this suit to test it. When Halsey's explaining, so these were really strong, so just be careful. And then it's like comedy hard cut to this dude just all his bones snapping themselves.
I have to find
think,
that part.
I get the sense that they were kind of pushed for time.
Oh, clearly,
here.
Yeah.
It's like why include that scene?
Right, but it's really funny. It was definitely worth it.
Okay.
Yeah, it felt like they had $100 for this whole movie, and then ran out and just cut out 40% of the book.
Yeah, that too. Clearly the book does not end after destroying the one Covenant ship.
Right.
Also, I have to read the. See, now I'm getting confused.
There's elites in this movie.
Yeah, that too.
Right from the get-go.
Remember our whole thing during the book was how'd they just meet elites at the very end?
Yeah.
Clearly not. And apparently they took it down, so there goes that. That was easy. Do they have their Mark II suit?
I don't think they have the
Mark
energy
IV
shields.
Or whatever. Do they have?
I don't think they have the energy. No, they don't have the energy shields on the suit, because that's why
that's right.
when Sam gets shot, it still hits him.
Okay. Maybe
So
the
that's
design is just very
yeah,
similar.
it's just increased strength, but
So something I want to ask everybody is, what did you guys think about, like, visually? What did you think about the movie? Because I kind of thought that there are some like really beautiful scenes, like in some of the backgrounds looked amazing, like they'd show like a planet. But for the most part, I felt like this movie was kind of ugly, and I was just wondering if what you guys think about how it
I
looked like
agree.
visually.
Anytime, I think it was really only anytime they were showing a real human face, it looked bad. But then anything else outside of that, like when they're in their armor, or when the Covenant are there, or when they're in space and showing the ships, it looks awesome. But then you cut away to an actual human face, and have you guys seen like the Polar Express movie from like 2005?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's just like this weird, like
It just
uncanny
looks wrong.
valley. Yeah, just kind of
Yeah.
uncanny valley facial thing where everybody has dead eyes. But I guess he's like a psychopath, so he's gonna have his dead eyes. But like, yeah, I think. But for the most part, though, I think there's a lot of great shots, and when the sci-fi stuff is on screen, it looks awesome. That's clearly where they spent their money.
Yeah. It felt like a good video game cutscene in
Yeah.
like 2010. But yeah, held up to today's standards, it doesn't quite hold up, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
I think they also tried to kind of make it a little cartoony, like the Spider-Man multiverse animated movie, where it's kind of purposely a little more stylized.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's definitely stylized.
yeah, it's definitely more like comic book anime
Yeah.
style. Was their design approach? I agree. I didn't overall like it. I think there were certain scenes that were good. I wanted to verify, like, while watching it, like, when was this made? It was made in 2015, and I kind of would have expected a little bit more out of it because I feel like the cutscenes in the Halo game were better than the movie, right? So, like, I don't
Oh
know.
yeah, for sure.
So, like, if you're doing something so much later where the actual Halo is known, like, I don't know. It was just I wouldn't have gone this way with artwork. Go ahead, Charlie.
Yes, because this came out in 2015. Halo 4 came out in what, 2013? Halo Reach in 2011. Halo Reach, the video game, like the facial animations, the movement is a lot better in their cutscenes compared to like this film, you know.
I think
What's
the
up, Charlie?
budgets are probably
Yeah,
vastly
the
Oh,
different
budget,
now.
yeah,
100%.
it's
But
his budget, yeah.
It just feels
Yeah.
like it was like somebody's like college
yeah,
film project.
yeah,
Something like that. Yeah, it looks like it was made
And,
kind of like
and like, oh, let's just do this Halo book, and then it was just a couple guys just doing it, just as their project. That's what it felt like.
Let's only do half of this book.
Oh, we got to
Well,
submit this.
You're right. Charlie, you're raising your hand.
Yeah, because I got points to I got responses to both of your points. The art style was the same company that they hired. It's a company called Sequence, and they did all of the what's called terminals in Halo
Oh,
CE, Anniversary, Halo 2, and Halo 4. So if you have the Master Chief Collection, you can watch these terminals, which essentially explain some background in the story that you might not otherwise see in the game. So they hired this
cool.
company to do the animations for them. And it's definitely, like I said, a stylized thing. I don't think it's supposed to be like a video game cutscene
no,
sort
it's not
of
supposed to be
start
realistic.
art style. Right. So you're gonna see this art style again. But then also why did they stop it basically halfway
Yeah,
through the book? You got to consider when this movie was released, which was released along with the same day actually as Halo 5 Guardians. Um, it was actually released as a companion that you got with the limited edition version of Halo 5.
got it.
Who do we finally meet in Halo 5, I guess I don't want to spoil too much, but
Barton Locke.
yeah, well that's Fire Team Osiris, but you also meet Blue Team in the game for the first time. So I think
Oh,
that this movie really solidified. It was
yeah.
designed not to tell the whole story of this whole story of Reach. It was designed more to introduce the characters, and we got a lot more of um the blue team characters, I think, than some of the book did.
That
That's some
makes
good
sense.
It's
context,
basically
Charlie,
Nice.
about
yeah,
them releasing at the same time because it makes sense. If you've only played the games and you're jumping into Halo 5 and you see Blue Team, you see Kelly, you see Linda, and you see Fred, you're gonna be like, who the fuck are these guys?
Yep,
right.
exactly.
And this I guess this movie was not so much about the Battle of Reach. It was more about how Chief became Chief, and B, how Blue Team kind of formed and their bond. That's really
Yep,
the point of this movie, I think.
Right.
that makes sense, and that's why they're on Reach glassed already, and having this flashback in terms of like, oh, look what Sam left, because I don't think Sam in the book left that party, and in the
Yeah, that was
movie,
definitely a movie.
I was trying to tell, like, was it a heart with like a lightning bolt through it? Like, I don't know what he scribbled on the tree. Does anyone else?
I'm at that point in the movie
It's
right now,
blue.
scrubbing through. I can't. It's like nonsense.
It
It's just a
looked, yeah,
scribble.
It's
Looks like
it's
a
Blue
Sonic's
Team's.
logo.
Oh my gosh, you know what it is? It's I think literally it's supposed to be like the bald eagle from the back of a quarter, I think.
Oh,
It looks kind of like a
Oh,
bird.
that's interesting. Yeah, well, that's Blue Team's logo,
Yeah.
which you can get in
oh,
games. But interesting, Jim. That's a really good point where it's the one side of the flip coin, if you will.
Yeah.
It's the
Tails.
eagle.
Oh, it is an
It's
eagle.
tails side.
Aha. I just looked it up. It's yeah, an eagle's head with a star above it and a lightning bolt and a
yeah,
2.
and that does end up being, and a lightning bolt. That does end up being, yeah, Blue Team's logo. I assume Blue Team took it from this in terms of why that's their logo, and not Sam knew that there was going to be a Blue Team and then create a logo on the fly. But yeah, that's
Right.
interesting. Okay. Also, I love how Glass Planet, they know exactly where Sam put this tree and landed there, and the tree still exists with the carving on it.
Hmm.
Pushing it a little bit, but sure.
poetic.
Yeah, it is.
Well, that was the Fall Reach movie. Some of you guys already said your thoughts about it. Any further reviews? Any?
No, I will say it is worth watching. It is only an hour, and it's free on YouTube, right? So it's worth
I
watching.
I feel like honestly, like I feel like it's kind of mediocre, but if you're into Halo and you like Halo, then it's an okay watch if you're a fan of the series.
It's fair.
That's my hot take right there.
Spicy.
I expected it when I saw the visuals. I expected the dialogue and everything to kind of be lacking. I do think they did an alright kind of job in terms of like when they did the voiceovers for people's thoughts, or when like Deja or AI were talking, like almost reading verbatim from the book. I really enjoyed that part. So I kind of like that they tried to take a lot of the book, but also I think with the context Charlie gave, like alter it just enough to make it fit more in the narrative of Blue Team characters, that quick journey to be like, hey, this is who you're playing as, and here you go.
Quick point on the voice acting, like you said. We do have the official Halo or the official Master Chief voice actor, Steve Downes, acted those beginning and end scenes. And then Jen Taylor was the voice of Halsey, which she also plays in the games as well. So
Yeah, I was gonna say those definitely sounded very familiar, right?
Yep.
I feel like besides the children, all the voice performances were pretty good. I looked up Mendez earlier because I felt like his voice sounded so familiar, and like he's one of those voice actors that's like in freaking everything. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, like I said, I think besides the kids, all the voice performances were pretty good.
All right. Well, anyone got anything else to say about the Fall of Reach movie? All right. PvP tournament time then. With our discussion over, we need to pick up our battle for the evening. Let me fill you in on the results of last week's match. More so the results of last week's match and their effect on our standings. Will, with not a commanding lead actually. Will in the lead with 19. James with 17. Robbie with 15. Tom with 11. Charlie with 10. Jim with 7. Will won last week again.
Wow.
Wow. That means, of course, that you will pick this week's match.
Really tired
Oh.
Well,
picking all the matches, but okay.
well, yeah. Tell us what crazy cocked up
Oh man,
match you
I
got for us in
totally
store.
forgot that I have to pick again. Man, I'm not sure. I mean,
You did an interesting pick for last week with the oddball. That was actually a pretty entertaining game.
would it
even
be
though it's
okay if we just did the same thing again this
I'd run it
week?
back again. That was fun.
Is that fine with everybody?
It's up to you, honestly. It's ultimately it's your choice.
I think we should just run it again.
Do you want to run it on Halo 3 on the pit?
Let's not do the pit. Oh man,
Do a
I'm
map you
sorry.
can jump
Nope.
off.
I should have looked at some of the naps. I totally forgot I had to do this.
We'll update the peoples on what map and how it turned out next time. James,
Hi.
do you have anything for us?
What is Master Chief's least favorite natural disaster? Floods.
What's Master Chief's least favorite?
Natural
Oh.
disaster.
You said flood.
Floods.
I like that one.
I should have. That was so easy, actually.
Yep.
Ghost Town. That'd be the nap.
What did you say it was?
What was it?
Ghost Town.
Ghost Town. I don't remember that one.
Yeah, I was gonna say that.
Yeah.
I've never played it. It looks interesting, so
Huh. Cool. All right. Oddball on Ghost Town Halo 3 for next time. As for discussion, guys, we will be covering the Fall of Reach comic this time. We're going book, movie, comic. All right.
sounds good.
I'm gonna reach around.
A good old reach around. Thank you, everybody, listeners, for joining us tonight. We will see you next time on The Great Journey.
The great journey.
Tom, one of your hosts here on The Great Journey. We hope you enjoyed the show, and if you want to connect with us, you can find us on most podcast platforms, as well as Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at The Great Journey Pod. If you'd like to support the show, you can do so at patreon.com/thegreatjourneypod. Thank you for listening, and we hope to see you for the next chapter of The Great Journey, The Great Journey, The Great Journey.
Will came in first.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Who came
I
in
think
second?
Robbie, right?
Yeah, I was second.
And then I think it was Tom, Jim, me, you. As sad as that is, it was rigged.
Stop the count.
Jim and James was second to last. Wow.
Yeah, I got scared there.
That Halo match was totally rigged. Crooked Charlie was out there killing everybody. Okay, it's totally unfair.